This is my all-time favorite savoury cheese scone recipe. I think you're gonna love it. Hi guys, welcome back to Dadlicious Eats. Hope you're all well. So a couple of months ago, I made my sweet afternoon tea scones. Today, I wanted to talk you through my cheese scones because I think these are 50 times better. I love the cheesiness in them. I like the fact that they're savoury. I've got more of a savoury tooth rather than a sweet tooth. Now, I call them scones. If you're in the US, you might call them biscuits. If you're in various other parts of the UK, because we're very torn on the pronunciation of this, it's either scones or scones. I'm in the scones camp. Fight me on the comments if you want. It would really help me out if you were to like this video. Helps the algorithm share it out onto YouTube because I really want to get across the message that it doesn't have to cost a lot of money to make good, healthy, tasty food. I'll pop the ingredients in the description below and on dadliciousEats.com so you don't have to sit there writing the ingredients down as you watch the video. Without further ado, let's get cracking. Right, so onto the ingredients, and we've got 225 grams of self-raising flour, 55 grams of unsalted butter, 100 milliliters of milk. I'm using semi-skimmed, use whatever's in the fridge, a teaspoon of baking powder, a large pinch of cayenne pepper, another pinch of salt, and most importantly, we've got the cheese. So we've got 120 grams here of really strong, mature cheddar. You want it as strong as you can so it really punches through. In the UK, we call it mature cheddar. In the US, I think you call it sharp cheddar. But just find the strongest you can. And that is all you need for these ingredients. Super easy. Total cost of this, we're probably looking at about £2.80, £3 in total. Right, so first up, we're going to pop the flour into a mixing bowl. And then we're going to take the butter. We're just going to chop that up initially into small pieces. Just like that, sort of ½ inch, 1 centimetre cubed or so. So we're going to rub this between our fingers and our thumbs. And we're also almost going to make this into a breadcrumb-like consistency. So you shouldn't have any large lumps of butter left when you're done. If you're a subscriber, welcome back. Massive thank you for having a look at another of my videos. Really appreciate it. If you're not a subscriber, I'd absolutely love it if you were to click the button and subscribe now. Just keeps you up to date with all of my latest videos. I've got about 40 or so videos now, so definitely have a look through, see if there's any you like. If you've got a comment about any of them, if you've got a question about them, just drop it below. I'd also really love it if you were to like the video. It really helps with the algorithm on YouTube and lets me share it with as many people as possible. I'm really enjoying baking at the moment, actually, because I find if I go out and buy baked items, they're A, really, really expensive, and B, they're not particularly great. We've got a couple of bakers near us, and all of the sweet items are far too sweet. All of the savoury items are far too salty, and you just can't get what you want. And I find, maybe I'm turning into an old man now, but I find there aren't any of the proper bakeries that we used to have when I was little and growing up. So this is looking pretty good. Just run that through your hands and you can see most of the big lumps of butter have gone. So now we're going to add in our salt and our cayenne pepper. I love adding cayenne pepper in. It just adds a little bit of heat. It's another layer of taste or flavour. And I think it goes really, really well with the cheese as well. So we're just going to pop that in. Obviously, if you don't want to, or if you can't handle the heat, that's fine. You don't need to put the chili in. We're also going to add in our baking powder. So about a teaspoon of that goes in. So we're just going to start grating up our cheese, because we obviously don't want to just throw in a large chunk of cheddar. Now I'm trying to get a little bit more consistent with my videos. I'm thinking of posting one probably every Saturday, and then one every Wednesday or Thursday. I tend to go into the office and into work Mondays, Wednesdays, Thursdays. So those days it's a little bit more difficult for me to work on the videos themselves. So my microphone has died. I need to switch to another one. So we're finished up with grating the cheese, and now we're going to bring it all together. So we'll take our dry mixture, just make sure everything is mixed around nicely inside the bowl. We're going to pour all of our cheese in. And then we'll just give that a little mix around. I tend to use a knife or a spoon at this stage rather than using your hands, because we want to keep the pastry nice and flaky when it comes out within the scone. You don't want to make it too warm at this stage, so you want to try and keep it as cool as possible. So we'll add in probably about 3/4 of our milk. That's about 70 millilitres or so at the moment. It's always better to make sure that we put in less milk at the start, because we can always add a little bit more in. If you add too much milk at this stage, then it becomes a little bit more difficult, because then you need to start adding flour and different quantities of ingredients back in to get to the right moisture level. So once you've brought it together a little bit with the spoon and it's not too sticky, get your hands stuck in. This is where having children helps, because they love playing around with this dough. And we're just going to bring it together nicely with our hands. We don't want to spend too long doing this. We don't want it to make it too warm. I just want it just enough like this so it comes together. So onto a floured surface. Usually I forget to put the flour on these videos and then add it later. We're just going to push it down, and we probably want to create a flat saucer shaped dough that's probably about that thick, maybe 3/4 of an inch thick. Don't need to bother using a rolling pin. It's not really worth the time. It takes, what's this, taken 15 seconds to get to this level. And it's time to take our cutter out. So I'm using a fairly small, I think it's about 2 inches wide, round fluted cutter, and we're just going to go to town on just cutting out our scones. So this is going to make somewhere in the region of a dozen or so scones. Obviously, if you want to make more, go ahead, double the mixture. If you want to make less, you can halve the mixture if you want. But what you'll have to do is, as you see here, we've got a lot of wastage currently. So once we've cut out, probably on the first batch, it makes about half of the scones. You just want to bring it together again. And then we're going to flatten it again. And then we're going to cut them out again. So you'll end up doing this probably 3 times, maybe 4 times in total. I would also get the oven heated or preheated on at the moment, give it sort of 10 minutes or so to come up to temperature. I'd put it on about 180 degrees centigrade if you've got a fan oven, or 200 if you've not got a fan oven. So we're going to take a baking sheet here, put a little bit of greaseproof paper on it, and we're simply just going to pop on all of the scones. Leave a little bit of a gap between them. Doesn't need to be sort of a massive gap. They will expand slightly, but not too much. Finally, before these go in the oven, I'm just going to take a little bit more grated cheese, just sprinkle a little bit on each of the tops of the scones. Not mandatory, but I tend to do it, and what it does mean is I end up, the top half of the scone gets eaten a lot quicker than the bottom of the half, just because you've got some extra cheesy goodness on there. Great, so these are looking ready to go. We're going to pop these into the oven now. So, as I say, about 180 degrees centigrade. You're going to put them in, check them after 15 minutes. And they take between 15 to 20 minutes. You'll know they're done when they come out nice and golden brown, looking something like this. These are looking super tasty, smelling super tasty, and I could just eat all of them right off the bat. Leave them to cool down for about 10 minutes or so. Let's open one up. There we go, splits apart really easily. You can see it's nice and flaky, nice and airy inside, not stodgy at all. All these need, in my opinion, is a little bit of salted butter. While it's still warm, it'll melt a little, and it's an absolutely delicious, cheesy taste bomb. That's it for this video, guys. Thanks for watching, appreciate it. Drop a comment below. I'll be back soon. Cheers.